Hello guys, today we're going to take a look at the Ford TW35 again, and what we're going to try and get done is the steering. Hopefully it'll be pretty straightforward. Just install the servo. I need to modify the frame a bit, but with any luck it'll be fairly simple. The steering on this model isn't very heavy, it's pretty light. There's not big wheels like you get with the big CQ models like the Massey 8680 or the Fendt 936. Those models all have really big tyres that are quite wide, get a lot of grip on the ground. But this model has pretty narrow little tyres. It's kind of a hard plastic, so it should be fairly simple to turn. So I'm going to just try and use one of these cheap little servos I got on eBay. You would have seen them in one of the kind of servo review videos. But I'm going to install it under the bonnet here. You can see here that the bonnet is definitely tall enough for it. But when we take off the bonnet, you can see that quite a lot of this structural part of the tractor is in the way. So the front of the bonnet doesn't run up to the edge of this, so it's back here a little piece. So maybe around about where that mark is on the body, say maybe the end of the bonnet. So kind of need to get the servo faced in this way, with the bulk of the servo towards the rear of the tractor. There is a hole here already, so what I'd like to do really is expand that hole so that it can take the servo arm, the cylindrical part of the servo arm, so that I can mount the servo in something like that there. Hopefully we'll avoid doing any damage to this screw here, but I'll need to cut out a bit of the body here. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad, so I'll just cut that piece out and drill out this hole so that the servo arm will stick down through it, and that will be down here. So we'll have the servo arm that'll be moving back and forward like that. Then on one side of this model, I'm not sure which, I don't think it really matters, I'll 3D print a little beam that will just come out here, and I'll be able to connect from this point here to the little servo arm, so the servo arm will steer like that, something like that. Pretty straightforward. It should be simple. It might stand out a little bit, it might be pretty visible, but I won't need to modify the mounting points for the front axle, and I won't need to cut into the engine here because this is all exposed. So all that part of the engine is exposed there. So if I wanted to mount it back here, I'd probably end up damaging this exposed piece of the engine, or if I wanted to mount it in the center there, I'd need to lose this this screw that holds the model together. So I'm going to try and avoid that. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out the grinder and try and cut a rectangular piece out of this part of the body here and level off this screw part, or the top of this screw hole here, without cutting into the screw hole too much. Then I'll try drill out the hole here without bending the frame out of shape too much, and then we'll be able to see if we can mount the servo there without the bonnet looking weird on the top here. We don't want to lift the bonnet up because there's a lot of nice detail on the bonnet there and the exposed engine, so we want to try and keep as much of that as we can. It's not like the CQ models. Most of them, it's just a kind of large bonnet that slides down on top. Doesn't have all this kind of nice grille detail and the good logos and stuff. I mean, you don't want the bonnet to end up kind of stuck up at a weird angle that doesn't look right. Well, here's the piece cut out of the front of the model, which lets the servo sit in like that, which looks okay. But then when you go to put the end piece on the servo here, the little servo arm, it doesn't actually have much traction on the servo arm. It's the servo arm is barely going on there. And another problem, the servo arm is pushed right up against this piece of the body here. So if we put a screw on there, it's going to get caught in this screw hole for start, and the servo arm is going to be under a lot of pressure because the screw head will be there. And as well as that, this piece needs to go on here, and this piece needs to go on in here. So I've kind of decided that that idea is not going to work. My plan now is to continue to cut this piece of the body away. I'm going to lose this mounting screw here that's holding the frame together, but I think that's going to be okay because this piece here will clamp the front together, and then the screw that goes in here should tighten that all fairly tightly together. So I don't think that's going to be a problem, but if it is, I'll come up with some other way of holding it together. It's not the end of the world, that. So I'm going to continue to cut away this so that I can get the servo hopefully down in here. So the servo arm is going to end up in this gap here just above the steering rack. Hopefully that'll be tidier than my first idea. The first idea wasn't all that good really, but if I grind that away, then I should be able to, well, hopefully I'll be able to set the height of this with whatever thing I 3D print. See, I'll probably 3D print a little frame to hold this in place that will be mounted to the screw at the front here, which is coming up there. So I'll probably have a little 3D printed piece that will just sit in there and hold the servo in place, and then I'll be able to get the height right so that I can get this kind of floating in the middle, because you don't want to push it up against the chassis here like it was going to be with my first idea. That's not really going to work. So that's the plan. Looks like I've another bit of grinding to do. Okay, well, I've ground away quite a lot of this now. I left a big square here so I could get the whole end of the servo gearbox, I guess, into the hole here. I have the little arm connected here, so there's no problem getting any of that in now. There's plenty of space, so I'll need to tidy that up, but it looks to be in around about the right position. Oh, it's all falling apart. There, yeah. So it goes in something like that there, and there's plenty of space between the servo arm here and the body. It's not going to hit there, and same as that, the little arm here. I might need to remove this little rectangle here. If you can see, it used to be the little piece that was connected to the steering wheel inside the cab. There's a little bar coming up there, and that used to move back and forward inside that, but now it's not really of any use, so I might just get it out of the way and give myself a little bit more space to add the little connecting rod that's going to go from the servo arm over to the steering. Well, that little piece was just glued on there, so it just came off pretty straight away. I just pulled it off with the pliers. So if I need to put that back on, I can just glue that back into place. That's no big problem. And just to show you, all the different pieces do fit back on. And even though, you know, the grinding wasn't all that that tidy, it's pretty messy. Once you put all the side parts back on, you can't really see anything, so that's pretty perfect. So now I'll need to make some sort of, well, first I need to make something to mount the servo properly in place. I mean, at the minute it's just kind of loose there. The bonnet will come off. Yeah, so that's just loose there. So I need to 3D print something that can just hold that servo there. It's obviously going to be through this screw hole at the front here. Then after that I need to make a little connecting rod from the servo arm over to the steering here, or to, well, to one of the wheels, and then I think that should be the steering finished. We'll be ready to test it then. Now I've 3D printed a few pieces for it, so I have a little bit of a bracket here that just mounts the servo to this front screw that's from this, I don't know what that is, maybe it's some sort of weight block, I'm not sure what it is on the real tractor. But I just glued that to the servo and screwed that in there. So I think it's alright. Servo's kind of pushed up against this this bit that I cut out, so it should be alright. Then I 3D printed a little connecting rod there, going from the servo arm, which is in there. Maybe you can't see it. You can see the edge of it there. Servo arm in there, and it's just connected there to that. It's just going over to one of the wheels here. I had to get a longer screw for this end here. The one that came with it is, as you would expect, it's just exactly the length that was needed for the previous way it was done. So I'll get the servo tester thing here and hook this up and see if it actually turns the wheels or not. Okay, so we're set up now. I have the servo going into the servo tester. I'm hooked up to 3.7 volts for the servo there, and should work fine now. That's full lock one way, and that's full lock the other way. So there's no problem. Maybe a little bit hard to see because the model is moving. I'll just hold the rear of the model as if it was, or as if the rear axle was there. So as you can see, servo has no problem pushing the wheels around. So I think that's pretty good. It's well hidden there, I think. Yeah. I mean, apart from the red connecting rod, you wouldn't really know I'd modified anything on that at all. I intend to put some sort of lights in here, so once I do that, it might be a bit more obvious. But I think it's pretty good. There's still a lot of work to do on this model, but I'm starting to get time to work on it, so that's pretty good. Hopefully I'll get it finished in the next month or two. I'm looking forward to getting this model finished. This is one of my favourite models actually, so it'd be great to have it driving around, pulling a silage trailer or something. Ideally, I suppose you'd want it to be able to lift some fairly big ploughs. I mean, you see the TW35 being used for that kind of thing a lot on YouTube, so it'd be pretty impressive, I think. I don't know how much grip it would have. The wheels are fairly narrow on this compared to some of the Fence and the Massey, and they kind of struggle a bit to push through the coffee grind. But we'll give it a go, see how it works out anyway. Even if I just use it for pulling trailers around, I think it'll look pretty good. So if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button and the share button and all that stuff. And as always, any comments or suggestions, either head to the forum or leave them below the video. And I think that's everything I have for today, so thanks very much for watching.